Dr. Mark Kortipata, an infectious disease and biodefense expert, breaks down the different scenarios for lab activities and proposes the skill sets that will be needed for the US to conduct its investigation. It is interesting to watch the tide shift in the debate about the origins of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19 illness. Despite the lack of any significant new information, this became one of the hot news stories in the past week, and experts like Anthony Fauci recently expressed that he supported an open investigation into the COVID origins and was not convinced of a natural origin. The lab leak hypothesis was given extra fuel when President Biden requested U.S. intelligence agencies to report back within 90 days on their efforts to determine whether COVID emerged from human contact with an infected animal or from a laboratory accident. The origins of the virus that causes COVID-19 will remain a concern, because nearly a year and a half into the outbreak, the virus has not been isolated from a source in nature, no intermediate host animal has been identified, and China has not been completely forthcoming. A recent assessment in China by experts from a World Health Organization-sponsored team also did not yield substantial new information. So, where did SARS-CoV-2 come from, nature or a lab in China? Let's step back and consider something more fundamental that the US investigators will need to consider. Even if a pathogen has escaped from a lab, there are 4 ways it can. Not all lab work has the same purpose. One must first consider the intent behind the work. What type of work could be done with a pathogen in the first place? Consider 3 different scenarios for lab activities. Laboratory researchers may isolate a virus or other pathogen from a natural source, such as an animal, an ill patient, or somewhere else in the environment. This work occurs in labs around the world every day. Researchers could study the pathogen in many different ways, such as characterizing its structure, its genome, genetic makeup, what animals it infects, how it causes infection and illness, pathogenesis, or developing animal models to study the infection. If there were concerns that the pathogen could cause human illness, researchers might seek to develop ways to diagnose, treat, or prevent it with vaccines. Altering the virus for peaceful purposes in order to understand how to better predict diseases and how to treat them, researchers engage in what's called gain-of-function research. The National Institutes of Health defines gain of function as enhancement of the transmissibility and/or virulence of a pathogen. There are legitimate reasons to do this type of work in order to better understand how the pathogen interacts with humans, to assess its potential to cause a pandemic, and to help us prepare and respond more effectively. Usually the concern is with diseases with pandemic potential, such as SARS, MERS, and influenza.